Okay, so you want to know how to be with somebody who has children. Okay, so this is the thing. First and foremost, you got to be honest with yourself. If you do not like children, then don't deal with somebody who has children. Depending on how, depending on perspective, what type of perspective that they have. Okay, because um, when I was younger, you know, it seems like when we're younger, we take things more serious. Some people, and so you know, you want to be adulting. You want to be mature about situations. You know what I mean? And sometimes you don't want to come off, a certain way. Like sometimes we don't, even if it's something that we don't want to do or have dealings with, then you know um, we kind of mask. You know, I've known people who have children don't even want to be bothered with their own children. You know, um, I know people who just don't like really like children. Like they don't have the patience for children. They just don't have that type of thing for children. You know, um, when I was in the Pan African, I remember when I first introduced myself, I was led to a metaphysical shop, and the dude who ended up becoming my mentor later, he was actually leaving the shop, and I was talking a little shit like, oh, here go black folks, they always want to have a business and never want to be there. I was just fucking around, and of course I was earlier on my journey, so I lacked a little bit of respect for a lot of things, so he just kind of looked at me, and he kind of smiled, and he says, well, we're not black, we're melanated. I said, well, okay, Mr. Melanine, where are you going? Like, what time are you going to be back? So he tells me he's going over to a school, Pan African school, they call it the Village. And, he invited me over there. So he teaches the music class at the Pan African school. And so when I was there with him and I was observing him with the children, like he had absolutely no patience, and he was trying to instruct the children on how to play the drum. And he was giving instruction on the different sound of the drums and the different types of drums, and they're children. They can't hear that shit yet. But it's good that he planted those seeds, you know. So, um, I noticed, there was one little boy, and the little boy, he was so cute, he wasn't really being a disturbance, but you could tell he was excited. He gets excited about music, you know, and the teacher, he says, do you always have to be childish? He says, do you always have to be childish? Are you going to want to be childish all your life? And the little boy is like 7, 9 years old, So, I kind of laughed. I'm just like, oh my God, he's like super serious. Like, bruh, it's just a kid. You know what I'm saying? He's excited about music. He's excited about this time with you, about what you're bringing to him right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not even allowing him to enjoy it. Some children, they, in order for them to really learn, especially hands on, when they're like hands on learners, they're more creative in thinking, so it's kind of like, you know, um, sometimes, they have to be passionate about something. in order to be good at it. You know what I mean? So, the energy that the young boy was showing, he was showing a lot of interest, and he was showing a lot of appreciation and just excitement that, oh, such and such is here today. The music teacher is here today, so we're going to play music. And it's just like the teacher, he just did not see that. He did not understand because, the purpose for him in his mind, what I kind of picked up was that he was there to teach. So, if the children are not receiving the teaching, it upsets him. So he's just as equally as passionate. It's just that they're coming from two different angles. You know what I mean? And they're not really, like, he's not really paying attention to the child. You know what I mean? He's paying attention to what he's there for in himself. You know what I mean? And so he's not really, he's not really going to see anything else. And obviously that's not what he wants to be doing. So, like, you got to be real with yourself. You got to be honest with yourself about what it is in which that you really want to do. Like, you have some individuals, like, if you don't accept their children, then they don't want nothing to do with you. And then you have some individuals to where it's like, they don't really want you around their children or really need you in their children's lives. Like, they want you to kind of be about them. You know what I mean? And their child is fine. Some people, they date first, and depending on where the relationship goes, then they'll introduce the children to the other person. Some people, they introduce their children like right away. And to me, there's nothing wrong with that, because just because you have your children around somebody, now if you kissing them and hugging them and all over them and displaying love and all this type of stuff and a whole bunch of affection, then it's just like, the child is automatically going to assume that you guys are together. It's going to make them a little uncomfortable to see that too. Like, you have to move really slow when it comes to children. You know what I mean? But if you do not like children, then stay away from people who have children, or really open up and talk to an individual that has children. Like, let them know, like, I really don't like children. You know what I mean? But I'm really into you, because I'm going to be completely honest. Like, the love that you have for the child, it first is going to start off with how you feel about the parent. That's why I usually tell people, y'all two gotta build something first, and then if it goes further, if you guys want to take it further, or you see something with that person, then y'all start kind of talking about things, arranging things, like maybe introducing the person and the child, but introducing them first as a friend. I was watching The Housewives, and Drew Sidora, she introduced, her husband to her son as his uncle. That's old school. That's old school. That's old school lingo, like back in the day when the women was messing around on their husbands, and they were housewives, and they really didn't have, but they had to take care of the children. So, but they still wanted to have, the men around, so they would be like, oh, this is your uncle. I grew up like that too, with an Uncle Reggie. Okay? So, that's what I'm saying. Like, I grew up the way that I grew up, the way that I saw things between the relationship with my mom and my dad, and the way that my mom did things. And then even me later on kind of repeating the same patterns myself. You know what I mean? But once I went through that, I'm just like, this shit is going to end right here and right now. There's a generation of families and women, in my family, to where, it just does not work. People do not stay married. It's always single mom. It's always a struggle. It's always settling for less and all this type of stuff. So, I told myself, I said, you know what, I want to do things differently. Okay, like I was with my son's father. I met somebody, and I ended up leaving my son's father for that other guy. And I rushed into that situation. I didn't really pay attention to the relationship that he had with his children as well as his family. And to be honest, he didn't have much of a relationship with himself. So, like, you definitely want to move slow because you want to see how that other person parents. Because when we moved in together, our parenting styles was totally different. You know what I'm saying? And then it's supposed to be a unit, you know? And there were times to where we weren't for each other. He was for his and I was for mine. Well, how did we get here? Because you are neglecting your son. You have neglected him since, for 5 years. And then you come back into his life. And then when you come back into his life, he has to deal with somebody extra that you are bringing into his life. If I would have known these things, I would have said, well, wait a minute, we need to wait. But I didn't know these things. Like the brother, he came out and told me everything when we moved in. It's like we had been dating for almost like a year or two. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like he hid a lot of stuff from me for like a year or two. So you definitely want to take your motherfucking time. You don't want nobody trying to trap you, because I'm telling you, like he wanted help. He really didn't want me. He wanted help. He saw that I worked and I was working. He saw that I had dreams, I had goals. So it's just like I was everything. I was a nice ideal candidate for him, and then dealing with his son. But I'ma always speak my truth and keep it real with his ass. I said, your son got some issues, because I took his son to the park, and his son is on the slide trying to kick the little boy down the slide. I'm just like, don't do that. He did it 2 times after that. So when I told his father about it, his father, he act like he ain't know what to do or he ain't know what to say. You know what I'm saying? So then we had issues, with his son trying to do stuff to my son. I kick a little kid in the head. You know what I'm saying? So you better get right. You know what I'm saying? Like you better get your shit right. So then the son was causing some things in the household. He was causing some stress. So he just my boyfriend at the time, he just started throwing him off to other people. And I'm just like, why are you doing that? And I always had my son, and he was kind of looking at me like, you need to throw him off to other people so we can have more time together. And I'm just like, we had a good balance. It's kind of like, at first he wanted the family shit, and then all of a sudden it turned into, I want money. I want you and me to explore the world. This is that. Now it's all about us. Well, what about the kids? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on? You absolutely have to be real. You absolutely have to communicate. Like, there is really no structure on how to date somebody with children. You got to sit down and talk to that motherfucker, and when you see things that you have questions about, you have to say something, you know? I think, but the thing is, you have to like children. You don't like children, then just leave it alone. Or just, I see a lot of men out here who are like really stand up good guys, and I'm just like, there's a lot of young men out here. These young boys are so fucking lost. You know what I mean? And they don't have fathers. Half of them don't have mom or dad because they living with grandma. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, you have all this wisdom. You have all this power. You have all this leadership. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have so much to offer the youth coming up. And, one guy tells me, these motherfuckers don't listen. They hard-headed as shit. Of course. Weren't you when you was younger? So it's all about a creative way as to how to relate to them and how to talk to them. You're going to have to be patient with them, because they're coming, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know what type of traumas they're coming from. So, but if you don't have the compassion, if you don't have the patience for it, then just leave it alone. You know what I'm saying? And my thing is, I understand, because I done tried to work with young boys too because I have a son. But the thing is that, the women in their lives are very disrespectful towards them. The women in their lives are always yelling at them, and I understand why they're always yelling at them. Like they're always trying to take advantage. They're always trying to get over. They're just always trying to be little savages. And it's just like, just fucking relax. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like, I can't take you places. If you can't listen, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can be you, and you can be wild and outside. But when I need you to haul it in, bring it in, because I can't take you out to places and then you risk something happening to you. And then I'm responsible for that because your ass don't want to listen. You know what I mean? But it's like you want to somewhat help or guide, but it's just like, well, I'm working against what they got at home. You know what I mean? Like, mama yelling at them all the time, don't respect them, and all this type of shit. So I'm just like, but they have that type of behavior. It's just like, they need a fucking man. They need a man, and they need one that they can respect. You know what I mean? They need a good man, like a strong man, a big man. You know what I mean? And one who can toss their little ass up when they try to challenge his ass. You know what I'm saying? And I see that in a lot of brothers, but they don't want to deal with it. You know what I mean? So, whatever. But that's why I be saying, like, if you don't like kids, just don't deal with it. Like, if you could talk to the other parent, you talk to the other parent and just be like, I just want to deal with you. But at the same time, who the fuck wants to choose between somebody else and a child? Nobody wants to do that. So it's going to be a constant struggle. It's going to be a constant battle. So that's why I just be like, if you don't like children, just leave it alone. You know what I mean? Because if the other parent pick up that, like, you got something against a child, because I done dealt with dudes that are jealous of my son. You know what I mean? So it's just like, nobody wants to deal with that shit. Like, carry your ass. I seen a dude the other day. It was so cute. He had two little boys. I don't know if they was his sons or not, but I think they were. But he was holding their hands. One was mixed and one was black, and he was black. He had on a shirt, right? And he said, "Our love language." He said the shirt said, "Fries are our love language." And I got a hoot out of that. I thought that was so cute because my son loves fucking French fries. You know what I'm saying? I was just like, man, kids love fucking French fries. So, I'm just, like, I just was so attracted to that. You know what I'm saying? Just seeing that. You know what I mean? So, if you see things like that in the world and it doesn't do anything for you, then that's just not who you are. It's just not you. But it's not fair for you to come into somebody's life and, it's not fair for you to come into somebody's life, and not be accepting of everything. People do consider children to be baggage. Oh fucking well. Like, I mean, like, what are you gonna do? What do you? There's nothing you can do. Like, sometimes people, men come into women's life and they just like, you gotta get her away from her family. You gotta get her away from everybody. Yeah, so you can lock her up and she be miserable. No, like, I don't know. I'm very careful. I'm so fucking careful. You don't understand the shit that I've seen, the shit that I've been through. No, I'm very careful. Very careful. you know. So, and, it may be a little biased, but, I'm going to treat somebody's children how I want them to treat mine too. So I'm not going to settle for anything less. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to settle for, I'm not going to settle. I'm not going to be like, oh, but that's okay. They just don't understand. Like, when it comes to the children, I don't take no shit because I just been through a lot. You know what I mean? And you got to protect your children. You got to protect them, because I know other women dating men with children, and the children be trying to hurt the children and all that type of stuff. Ain't nobody got time for that. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you deal with the children being disrespectful and all this type of stuff to the person. You know, like, it's a lot. It's a lot. And if you are not ready for that, then don't do it. But the thing is, if you have a love for children, if you have a love for the person that you want to be with, it's really gonna be a piece of cake. You know what I mean? And then when you got to deal with the other parent, you know, like, from my experience, you know, I did things kind of like the wrong way. Like, honestly, I just didn't want to deal with the mom. You know, I felt like that was for my boyfriend at the time and his son. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you deal with that, because I got to deal with mine over here. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, people, like, nobody was happy that we was together, so everybody was trying to create a whole bunch of drama. You know what I'm saying? So I had to get away. You know, like, we had to get away and get a place together and create an environment. And, you know, sometimes the parents are upset. Like, my son's father was upset. The only reason why he was upset was because he didn't have his stability. If he had his stability, he didn't care. But because he didn't have his stability, that was a lot of his ego into play. He wasn't looking at the situation like, damn, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not doing nothing for my child right now. She's doing everything, and she's still not taking me out for child support. He didn't see the good things, and you know, he was at the lowest point in time in his life, and I could have got his ass, but I didn't. You know what I'm saying? But he wanted to sit up there and make shit hard and cause drama for me in my relationship. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, I don't know. That shit be dumb. And my ex, his baby mama was doing the same thing. When we split up, when me and him split up, like, when I was with him the first time, she felt like she had to compete. But the thing is that, girl, you was never a mom. You was never at home. You was a party girl. You see what I'm saying? But then when you find out that there's another woman in your son's life, now you want to tighten up. So I'm just like, all right, well, good shit, because I don't want to be his mama. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to take your place. I want you to get your shit together so y'all can evenly balance out who gonna take him and who not. So he and I can set up a schedule so we can have dates, and we can plan time alone together for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's gonna take everybody on board to do what you gotta do. So then, now she all trying to do this and trying to do that and becoming territorial for no reason. So he and we took a break. We split up, So all of a sudden, she goes to Georgia. She's gone. She don't, and she leave the little boy. So then, me and him get back together. She find out that he and I get back together. So when she find out, because I told him, I said, well, don't say anything right now. Don't tell anybody that we're like back together right now. Let's just keep it low key. Let's just keep it for ourselves so we can enjoy it, because we had to deal with so much from his family, you know what I mean, and all this shit, and then he was kind of weak, because he was too attached to his family. Like, he cared too much what they said, what they thought, you know what I mean? Like, they would try to do underhanded little slick shit towards me, and he would never stand up. But he didn't want me to stand up because I go hard. And this is a different type of family. You know what I'm saying? This is like a middle class family. You know what I'm saying? Everybody is this and that and all this type of stuff. You know, like they not used to this realness here. You see what I'm saying? But anybody can get it. You know what I mean? Because if you not for me and I got all these people against me, you damn right I'm gonna fight for my fucking self in a corner. I don't give a fuck. I'm not gonna bend over and submit and do none of that shit. I'm not gonna play no role for your ass. So, you know, we had issues with that. You know, like this shit is a challenge. You know, it's real. It's not easy. So, like, if you are not ready for that shit, then leave it alone. You know, but you know, if you love this individual, you know what I mean? Like, take that shit slow, because the love that grows between y'all eventually is, you know, that love is going to grow for the child, because all those qualities that you see that you love about that person, you're going to see them in that baby too. You know what I'm saying? And you know, naturally you'll gravitate and you'll end up falling in love with the child too. You know, but if you're dealing with somebody and you don't know who the fuck they are, and because people's children will show you, you know what I'm saying? They will show you. So, I mean, that's pretty much all that I can say, you know, about that, and really give insight on my experience with that type of thing. But, you know, I feel like with dealing with my ex and the mom, I feel like I should have been more embracing. You know what I mean? I feel like I should have been the bigger person, because she was just childish. I just didn't want to deal with that shit. You know what I'm saying? And then, like, you don't even care about the boy, but you want to sit here and pick with me. You's wasting time trying to pick with me. You need to build with your son. So it was a mess. It was just a mess. But, you know, um, what I learned from that situation, you know, if I ever deal with somebody else who has a child, you know, me and mom are going to form a relationship together, because if something goes on with the child, with the baby, and I don't know what to do, or I don't know how to talk to them, you know what I'm saying? I know mom know how to get through to them. You know what I'm saying? So I could be like, you know, like, mom, like, you know, can you give me some advice on how to deal with such and such? You know what I'm saying? Like, can you talk to him? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is that. Um, like, we all gonna be together. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's gonna be a unit. You know, and you know, I am prepared for the drama. Like, I already been through shit, but you know what? If I really truly love that man, I'm gonna deal with some of that shit. I'm gonna deal with it differently than the shit that I've been dealing with. You know what I mean? In the past. You know, but his ass better not be slipping. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's one thing about it. Cause it's just like, bitch, don't have me as no fucking doormat. Don't have nobody disrespecting me neither. Cause one thing about it, I'm always gonna stand up for myself. And you ain't gotta do it. And I don't want to hear no shit about you not liking the way I do it. It's a little trigger, huh? Yes, because you know people don't want you to stay. That makes me feel like you're trying to trap me in the situation, and you're trying to, like, you're not for me. Like, this is all an act. This is all phony. Like, this is all an illusion, and the real illusion is for you to lock me up away in some type of dungeon and just beat down on me and rape me every fucking day. That's what that shit is gonna feel like. I ain't going through that shit. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it goes deep. It goes deep, especially if an individual has already had experiences. Because people don't play about their fucking children, you know? And in a loving environment, A loving situation, you should never feel like you got to fight for you and yours. It should always be a unit. We're together. This is the environment that we create together. There were age differences between the children, so yes, one was doing this and the other one was doing that. You know what I mean? That's fine. They have different interests. They like different things. Okay. But no, that shit gonna work. If I gotta orchestrate that whole shit, I fucking will. I think I should be in charge of orchestrating everything. You know what I mean? Because I'm gonna come to the table with an open heart and being sincere. You know what I mean? Even with the children. Like, look, I'm not here to replace your mom, but if you want me to, I can. But I'm just saying. But like, I'm not here to tell you what to do, to push you around, to do nothing like that. But I do want a relationship with you, and I don't want to be forceful. I just want you to know that I'm here for you. You know what I mean? And whenever you want to open up, if you want to talk, if you want to do things, like when it comes to the children, I just plan to move really, 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 really slow. Because I was really overwhelming in my last relationship with the children, because he wasn't, his mom, he's not used to his mom loving on him. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like when I was loving on him, it made him really uncomfortable. But I thought that, like, I thought it was okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to be your mom, but I want to nurture you. I want you to know that I love you. I want to hold you. You know, it's weird, because he's just like, he felt uncomfortable, and I'm very creative. So certain things that I did, he's just like, well, you don't have to impress us. And I'm just like, I'm not trying to impress your ass or your goddamn daddy, because I already got both of you. You see what I'm saying? He just won't used to the type of woman that I am. So, and he was outspoken, which is good, because that means that we can talk. You know what I mean? So, it's just like he's just not used to the type of woman that I am. And after a while, I began to pick up that he was jealous. He was jealous of me. He was jealous of me and my son. You know what I'm saying? And his father was displaying the same behaviors and characteristics too. That you damn right. Because after a while, I seen you not for all of us, you for you and yours. Okay, well, we could do that then. How about that? What's up, baby?
No, nothing.
So anyway, I don't know who the fuck he thought he was, or what he was trying to fucking do. But anyway, we take care of each other. We in this situation, we in this household, we gonna take care of each other. We for each other. But you know, and if you ever really notice, like, I think it's beneficial for somebody to have children or to like children. You know what I mean? Because you get to see a different side to them, and they see you in a different perspective. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are guys that I wouldn't have probably imagined dating or been interested in. But there are certain qualities that I see about them that my son have, and I'm just like, oh, he's so cute. It's like, he's so cute, he reminds me of my son. And by nature, I am kind of mom. So sometimes I can make a man feel like I'm mothering him, and it kind of comes off as belittling him, but it's not that. It's just like a man who has a daughter. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes he sees his woman in the light of his daughter too. You see what I'm saying? So she may feel like, oh, he's fathering me, oh, he's doing this, he's doing that. You know, it's nice for an individual to see you in different perspectives of people that they love. You know what I'm saying? My son's father, we don't, you know, he don't have no other children, and we have a son, we don't have a daughter. So, you know, when we interact with each other, you know, for one, it's all friendship. It's mostly friendship. You know, it's mostly friendship. And, you know, I realized, you know, I remember one time we was talking, and I said, damn, he talking to me like I'm his goddamn sister. You know, you know, I never had that feeling. I never had that perspective of him before. I said, he is an annoying ass big brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, that shit blew my mind. You know, and I didn't grow up with brothers. You see what I'm saying? So I never experienced or knew what that was like until I experienced that through him. You know what I mean? It kind of made me laugh. You know what I'm saying? Cause he was acting like it just seemed like I was being an annoying little sister. That's what it seemed like, you know. And I was just looking at him. That shit was funny. It was just so funny. So, you know, if you gotta really open up yourself, really open up your mind to these types of things. You know what I'm saying? Open up your heart. But like I said, if you don't like children, then just leave the shit alone, cause it's not gonna work, and it is gonna show, and the other person is gonna feel it. You know what I mean? And then you're going to have to understand that if you don't want to deal with that person's children and their children are a big part of their life, you're going to have to settle for just coming in and coming out. But at the same time, you know, if you come in and if you come out, you're not really significant to that person in their life. You're just someone who come in for what they want and go. So if you guys have plans and something goes on with the child, you know, those plans are going to get canceled and the child is going to be the focus. So, you know, but that's it. That's all that I kind of pick it up. So, okay. We'll talk later because I have other stuff to talk about. Some crazy shit, right? But until the next time, I love you. Remember to continue to follow the star within who you are.